So you're welcome to the discussion segment on Afrida News. Today, we are looking at the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, AfTA, and I'm here with some very beautiful and handsome young people who are going to help us look at how the young people of today are going to take advantage of this initiative. So, welcome. I'd like you to introduce yourselves and then we take it from there. So, from my right.
Lo Francisca Mausino.
Okay.
Ireland Elliot Tete Ashiti.
Okay, Ireland.
Duwuna Elita Naki.
Okay, Elita. So, welcome to the discussion.
Thank you.
So I'd like to find out from you. You've heard about AfTA. Mausi, I'll start with you. What is this at all? AfTA, what is it?
So, it's an initiative that aims at creating a single continental market for goods and services, and then the free movement of investors and business people. Yeah, so that's basically what it is.
Okay, AfTA, so free movement of goods and services within Africa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Elliot,
basically, it's talking about the removal of charges or tariffs when we are exporting or importing goods either to or from our country.
Okay. Elita, you have anything to add to it? Or?
I think basically it's the initiative Africa has put to grow themselves collectively.
Okay. So collectively, I like the word. So a collective thing. It's an initiative that Africans are trying to come up with so that we trade among ourselves. Right. Okay. So now, as the young people, I suppose this is for you. You will want to tell me how you can benefit from this initiative, Mausi?
I think one way we can benefit from the initiative is economically, because we are going to trade amongst ourselves as Africans, and then this is going to bring in investors and then reduce the cost of exporting, and then it's going to reduce the amount or the way we import into our countries, because with Ghana we have a lot of imports, and then I think this initiative is really going to reduce that, since we are going to be producing amongst ourselves and then we are going to consume most of the things we produce here rather than importing and then consuming that. Yeah. So I think one way we can benefit from that is economically. This is by reducing the cost of importing.
Okay, so economically we'll reduce our imports. Yeah. Currently we do a lot of imports. So Ireland, anything else? How are we going to benefit from AfTA?
One way also going to benefit is looking at it at the entrepreneurship side.
Okay.
Because these youth complete or graduate from the tertiary institutions and they come out, and after their NSS, there is no work there for them to do. And if most of them are able to get these skills or these entrepreneurial skills to start doing something when they complete and there's no job, it's going to help them. Because just early last year, a seminar was held in the UPSA school where the finance minister, Ken Ofriata, was saying that the payroll is full. So if these young or youth are going to graduate and come out and they are going to focus on the government sectors, they should rather tune off their mind. They should rather focus on entrepreneurship. They should start doing something or get something done, so that when they are done from school and they are not getting anything to do, that can also help them get something to feed on.
Okay, so Elita, let me ask you this. So we are hearing about economically how we're going to benefit from AfTA, and Ireland is telling us about the entrepreneurial side of it. Okay, so as a young person, and he was talking about coming out of school how payroll is full, so government will not be able to employ as many people as are graduating every year. And with this in mind, what do you think? How prepared do you think the young people coming out of schools, how prepared do you think you are to take advantage of this initiative?
I think the young people have the potential. They just need that push as to which direction they should go to. Because there are a lot of creative people in Ghana. Because a few days ago, I saw this news article about people who had found ways to turn plastic into bricks. And there was another where a person had taken broken parts of cars and had formed his own automobile. So Africans actually have the creativity, they have the ideas. It's more or less the funds and that push into the right direction they're supposed to go to. So
Okay, so let me ask, so you are talking about the funding aspect.
yeah.
What do you think? What are the avenues, funding avenues available to you? Do you know of any? And what, you have a product, funding in the aspect of funding that you're talking about, can you explain that a little further?
If I have a product, one way I can get funds is through investors. But it's not all the time that you are lucky enough for someone to chance upon your product and say, okay, I want to invest into this business. So I think it's also up to government to help the people within the country, because this initiative is for the country. So if they more or less help them, they're also helping the country in general. Yes. So
Okay. Mons, let me come to you. I know the young people, most of you are into businesses. But for me, what I see most of the time is that the young ladies are into cosmetics, makeup, and whatever. What are some of the goods that you think people can come up with that will be able to compete in Africa?
Just like you said, most people are into cosmetics, but I think one other way people can compete on a continental level, as you said earlier, is by looking the other way aside cosmetics, because there are lots of cosmetic brands out there, and then most of them seem to have side effects that are not even mentioned.
Yeah.
You get it? So if I'm going to purchase a cosmetic brand and I have this perception that this cosmetic brand has a side effect which might not be mentioned or anything, I wouldn't want to purchase it. So I think people should move away from cosmetics and then focus on maybe fashion, producing shoes or something like that, because you barely see those. We should rather focus on creativity rather than trying to improve on something or trying to take someone's idea and then turning it into something different which might not even seem to be your own idea.
We were talking about barriers removed. We are trading, Africa is trading among itself. Okay, so what benefits do you see apart from tourism and other things? We are not looking at that. We are looking at trading among ourselves. And now there's an Africa where we can freely move about. How do you see, how is Ghana placed in this? And particularly for you, the young people, how do you see an Africa without barriers, people moving freely in and out and trading? What benefits will that be to us, Mousy?
With Africa trading, I think we'll get the opportunity to learn intercultural things, because right now I think one thing that separates one country from another in Africa is our culture. We barely know about the cultures of other countries, African countries. And I think if this is implemented, it will help us get to know more about other African culture, and then we get to relate more to them, and then get to know how to relate with them.
Okay. So let me ask Alicia, do you think this is going to unite Africa? Do you see any prospect in that area? Because as it is now, I don't know if beyond, I mean, it's just like me living in my area, somewhere in my village somewhere, and I don't know about the other person. So Marcy is talking about knowing about each other's cultures. How is that going to help us?
Okay. I think with this, it causes us to communicate with one another, because for me to know what the person in the other country wants, I have to communicate with them. I have to interact with them, get to know what they want before I can maybe specialize my goods to fit their need. So with that, relating it to what she said about the cultural diversion and everything, we communicating would help us grow, like,
Grow up. Well, communication wise,
yeah.
it would be interacting among ourselves,
Yes.
and perhaps it's also going to. We've been looking at, for instance, African Union has been looking at Africa uniting. So, do you think we can get to where the EU is now? When the EU started, there were a few countries. Now they have a common currency. They are doing things as a bloc. Do you think we can get there?
Yes, because as we progress in the communication and the selling of goods within Africa, obviously the differences in currency will cause us to come together and think of one monetary value that we can use to share goods and services, because one person's currency has more value than mine. So it means my good will be more expensive in their country than it is in mine. And we all want to find this wavelength where we can all work together. So that will cause them to move forward in thinking, okay, we need a particular currency that would help us trade with each other without it being more expensive to one or less expensive to the other.
Okay, so Ireland, what do you think about this currency thing? How is that going to help
Okay, so
our economy?
it's going to help because I'll look at it from the exposure aspect. If we start trading and we are exporting the goods, and they are looking at it this way. Okay, so if we are exporting this amount of goods, and because the currency they are using in their country is lesser than ours is quite expensive, we'll get exposure and then come into agreement with them that okay, fine, so let's do something. If we are exporting to you, are we going to agree on a particular currency or a fixed amount that is going to help us? Because this the situation whereby we all have to benefit, not just one-sided country benefiting whilst the other is losing.
Okay. So now, we started talking about using this, taking advantage of AFTA to improve our productions. And we were talking about our training at the universities. And I think Marcy is the one who was talking about.
Encouraging technical and vocational.
Okay, so technical and vocational. How does that come in here?
So I with this initiative we are focusing on producing. You get it, and production starts from creativity, and then creativity we get it from vocational and technical training, because it's more practical, unlike the theoretical studies we do. So I think from a young age, people should be encouraged to take vocational courses and technical courses, because in Ghana, we some people have this perception about people taking vocational and technical courses being having a low mental ability, or not being able to grasp what is being taught in class. And I think that is one thing that should be discouraged. People should rather encourage people to take up vocational and technical courses. This will help us be able to produce most of the things. Just like Elita said, there was a guy in the news who was able to take parts of cars, sports cars, and then made his own vehicle. With this, encouraging such a person to further more into a technical aspect, the person would be able to produce cars just like Osafo Tanka, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, so do you see this becoming a reality anytime soon? If we are now going to learn things from scratch, how is that going to help, and what can we do to accelerate people getting into production, changing our mindset? Like when we started off, we were talking about people getting on payroll and stuff like that. How will we be able to change our mentality about not being employed by somebody, but we becoming employers? How do we change that mindset? It's difficult.
Yeah. Very difficult.
Well,
So, okay, come in, then I'll add up.
well, I think it will take some time, but little by little we can get there, because it's a very good initiative that has been put in place, and I'm sure it has spiked interest in a lot of youth. So, with that,
Do you think the youth know about it? No. Does the average person on the street, or the average person coming out of the university, do you think you know about this after, and whatever benefits it holds for us?
not
And
really.
what can we do to improve it? What can you, the young people, what can you do to promote ACTA in the first place, goods, the production of goods, because there's this big market out there. So to get people even start thinking that way. By the way, there are big companies already in the system. How do you think those companies too are getting on board?
Well, the big companies, I don't think it would be much of work for them, because they have the products that they already, like, they have the brand, they have what they stand for. So basically, it's just them opening their gates to other African countries. And then from there, they can start increasing their production rates and then selling to everyone, because they have what they are, what product they sell. They have what they stand for. They have their brand. They have built it already. But then for the average person who is now coming out of school with the mindset that I want to get employed by someone, they should really be educated when they are in school. Like, they should go through entrepreneurship seminars, that it's not every time that you have to come out of school and expect a job to fall in your hands. Sometimes you have to take the initiative and open something for yourself. And who knows, you can grow in a way that nobody else has in before.
Okay, Ireland.
Okay, so I would say the parents really need education on this, because as my
You
colleague,
mean your parents will
No.
have to be educated?
most of our parents
Okay.
need to be educated on it, because as
On what
okay, I'm
specifically?
coming. As my
On after or?
not after
Okay.
about the technical and the vocational training
Okay,
institutions.
all right.
Because I think now the government has introduced that when they are selecting the senior high schools for the JHS graduates, they should add at least 1 or 2 technical or vocational school to it, so that in case they don't meet up to the cut-off points of those institutions, they can go to those technical schools. But you see, most of these parents think the award going to those schools isn't right for them, or meaning they don't know anything. But you see,
You want them to be doctors
yes,
and
some of our
lawyers.
friends,
engineers.
they are saying that my boy has the talent of fixing something, but they don't want the boy to go into it. They'll force you to go and do what they want. So if the education should come in, then we educate them that no, your guy or your boy has the talent of doing this. You should rather help him establish that talent, so that when he or she is out from school, he already has a skill which he's going to benefit from. And looking at it 10 or 5 years from that time, the boy can be making enough money, and he can even go international.
So let me ask you, young people, do you see the average person coming out of school with a mind to setting up a business and succeeding? Is it something that,
It's going to be tough.
and
Not
if
at
if
all.
not, what
Not
can
at all.
what can be done to change that? There has to be something.
Yeah, there has to, but we going to school, graduating with a degree and a master's certificate, and coming out to set up your own business. How would someone think of you? Because that is how we youth are thinking now. You're a degree holder or a master's holder, and now your friend who didn't get a certificate has established a business, which you're also coming out holding that certificate, coming to establish the same business. Meaning, what's the importance or the use of the certificates you are holding? So it's really going to be tough on that side for the graduates.
But
Is
I
it?
think-
I went to 4 years for nothing.
Yeah.
That's how I
But
roll.
I think for us, I think it's becoming a thing now, because a lot of people are thinking of coming up with business. Not majority, but at least a certain amount of
Few,
people.
yes,
Yeah.
few.
So I think in 5 or 10 years to come, it would become something that everyone would be thinking of.
But mind you, they are all doing it part of their career. They are not doing it as something
But
full.
exactly,
You
or
get it?
something
Uh-huh.
they want to do.
Because they will never leave it and
So
go
if
and
I
do
get you
that.
right, you're saying if you come out of school and set up a business of your own, you failed?
You've not failed.
You've not failed,
You've not
but
failed.
that's the perception
Mentality.
The
that
perception people are going to have about you.
Because
think-
you studied for 4 years.
I thought it would be the other way around,
No,
that
Not at all.
usually
you
people
came, you
feel-
studied something and came out to do
So
something
people
with.
feel that, okay, I went to 4 years to become a banker, and I don't end up in a bank, and I now have to start a business, maybe growing
Tomatoes,
mushrooms,
yeah.
maybe growing
Something like that.
mushrooms, but I'm growing it on a large scale. I'm making money, but people don't see it as, okay, you
Something that
found
you're
out your
benefiting
own
from,
diverse
yeah.
way of benefit. No, they see it as you went to school to become a banker, you didn't get it, and that is why you went into growing mushrooms.
But there are many people who have gone into farming and these other things you're talking
But
about,
it
and
depends
I'm
on what
making
you
it
are studying
big.
in school.
No, I think most of this has to do with the mentality, the kind of mentality we had when we were growing up. Because growing up, everyone wanted a white collar job, go to your office, you come
Yes.
back, you are tired. Exactly.
But as
No
you
one-
sit here as the future of Ghana,
Yeah.
what do you think? I actually want your thoughts. Do you think you, Ireland, do you still think that getting your own business makes you look like a failure in somebody's
No,
eyes?
that is what I was about to say. It depends on what I went to school to study. If I went to school to study agric, to be a degree holder of agric in that field, then in me coming out to set up a farming business, I've not lost anything. And people's perception will still be okay, that is what he went to school to study. But me going to study banking and finance and coming out to set up a farming business or industry, that is something else.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
I think one thing she wants to know is if the opinions of what someone, or the opinion someone has of you studying a different course and then coming out to do something different, does it really matter? I don't think it should to anyone, because
Personally,
Anyway,
personally,
let's get back. Let's get back
personally, it
to.
wouldn't matter. But the way
Let's-
people are going to critique you, sometimes you may even think, "Oh, you are doing, you're not doing the right thing, or you are failing."
Anyway, let's get back to African continental free trade. Right. So
Okay.
now we import a lot of things
Yeah.
from China, in particular,
A lot.
from Europe, from the US, whatever. Do you think AFTA is going to help us regulate this? I mean, bring importation down and then make us an exporting country?
Yes, because we are going to interact with ourselves as Africans. And because of that, first of all, we can find a wavelength of how much you charge for our product. So it means the person won't be looking at China or the US to purchase something because another African country has it. And maybe it's even in better quality, it's in better state, and it's at a price I can afford. Because I can ship it from China and I'll have to pay duty, shipping fee, and everything. So cutting that out of it.
Oh, but I don't think AFTA is going to cut out shipping fees, will it?
No, but
We are
Reduce
still
it.
okay. So what I'm trying to say is that how is it going to be different? Because if you don't think of exporting, which is why I've been diverting this into we producing, if we don't begin to think as an exporting country, and we are still going to do the imports, other African countries are going to benefit from us.
yes.
And that is why I think the young people should think about exporting, meaning you come up with something. So you come up with a business idea, you produce something, export, and then bring that in. So what I'm trying to say is that if we are going to stop importing from China, stop importing from Europe, and we are going to import from Africa, and we are not going to export anything, then we are back to square
Go
one.
back to square one. Yeah.
So you are the young people. How are you going to do it? What are some of the things that we can export readily? What are some of the things that now we are ready to export?
Well,
We were talking about Kantanka.
yes.
Yeah.
There are other companies, for instance, chocolate in the
Yes.
chocolate field.
shea butter,
Yeah, we have shea butter. There's
soap,
also-
Alata soap, the local soap.
there's also
But-
animal skins that we can use, but then we won't sell it as the raw product. We can make it into maybe a belt or shoes.
Okay, so now we are going to add value.
Yes.
To what we have.
You know, the funny thing too is that most of these foreigners fancy what is made in Ghana, but the thing is how we are able to import it or export it to them. That is where the problem comes from. So if the free trade is going to help us, cut down, and there's going to be a balance of it. If we are exporting 50% of our goods, at least we have to import 50% of our goods. I think it's going to help.
Okay, so we do. You take out.
Take out
you bring
50,
in.
I bring in 50.
Bring in.
It's going to help.
Okay. All right. So, any other thoughts on this? Because for me, you are now getting to like leadership. You are going to lead this country. What are we going to see you do differently? And how are you taking advantage of initiatives such as this?
Well, first off, you're going to change the mindset of the people around us. If you start
How?
Well, if I start something and I make something of myself, I can educate others. Because from where I am standing, I can tell you that, okay, this is what I have been through. And it is not like what the critics say, that if you do this, it means you are this kind of person. So from where I am standing, I can get maybe a good platform to send out a message to people to try and change that mindset of coming out of school, wanting to get a job. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. Like, slowly, if we change that mindset, then we can move forward.
Okay.
No,
Ireland, your thoughts?
at the summit, one thing the vice president also said is that
Which summit is this?
the after summit,
Okay.
this continent needs to get serious because most of the times they bring up policies to help us, but we take them for granted. So if they are bringing up an initiative like this to help reduce tariffs and other charges on importing and exporting, and we, the young leaders, we are going to, or young entrepreneurs, are going to benefit from it, we have to grab the opportunity and be serious about it.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
I think most of the things have been said by Rita in Ireland, because first of all, we have to begin by changing our mind and then grabbing the opportunities given to us and then making the best out of it, so that we would be able to see the potentials of such initiatives. So
Okay, so I'm hoping and praying that the little discussion we've had here is going to get you thinking. And one thing that I find intriguing is hearing that you go to school to learn to be a banker, and then you come out if you are doing something else. I think that's even a plus. You go and learn one thing, and you're able to switch into. You are quite versatile.
Yeah.
And I know that there are people in the banks now who have side businesses.
Yes.
Most
A lot
people.
of
So
them.
maybe as you go out there and you interact with other people, maybe we should begin to talk about some of these initiatives that are coming out. Like you said, the vice president said we should take things seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, so it begins with you, the young people. So it's up to you to talk to your friends, and then this is something not only for Ghana, for the continent as a whole, and perhaps a few years from now, maybe 5 years from now, we'll have an Africa where movement is free. We can just move, not just to go and look for greener pastures in somebody's country, but to take advantage of the numbers in Nigeria, to take advantage of the numbers in South Africa. So thank you very much, Elita. Thank you, Ireland. Ashite. Thank you, Mausi, for helping us with this discussion. And thank you, viewers, for watching and listening to us on Afrida News.